You guys are watching the Tech Live. Is this the first time we've ever done the Tech Live?
I believe it is.
This is going to be a very smooth experience for all of us, maybe. Possibly.
The reality is we're doing it because we've got to hop on a plane. There's no time for editing, and this is the only way it was going to get done now. So not having the stress of having to upload it later is worth something to us.
Look at all this stress. Yeah, I haven't had a lot of sleep this week, so my options were to go home and edit this thing at midnight when I get off the plane. Or you guys can watch it right now, and then watch it again later. Yeah. I think the camera went down. I'm like, really, whatever. How did that happen? I'm like way higher than I used to be. Make it go up just a little bit. Just a little. Just make it go up.
What am I doing?
The camera like went. That's fine. Whatever. It's fine. And then that way, just a little. Tap it that way. Just a little. Other way. Right there. Yeah. That's a beautiful camera shot. All right, guys. We have some new items coming into the store very soon. And they're not in there yet, though. Sorry. Do
we want to talk about the right-angle USB adapters? Because everybody's like, oh, my God, we need a right-angle USB adapter. So we're going to get some. And any motherboard, you can have right-angle USB because we're that awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people really want right angle on everything. If you guys want like specialized pieces, maybe we can buy them in bulk and then put them in the store, so that way you can get them for even cheaper than what you would pay like on eBay. But I think we have an audience with esoteric needs, as that's pretty much your doing, I think.
It turns out that a right-angle USB is not really all that useful in practice because there are a lot of the cable's so bulky and it's so hard to bend it that it's really problematic in most cases. So we've tried it because we got the little, stuff to actually do this. And I think that you guys will find that probably won't work. But maybe like a right angle extension that will take it like behind the motherboard tray or into like the cable management area. Maybe that would satisfy you guys. We don't know.
All right, back to the store now. We've got some decals. You guys have been asking for decals for quite a while. And we listened. And we are going to do it. You guys are going to get some decals here in the store. They're not in there yet. But they're logo decals, and I want you guys to be really careful when you install these things because the ends of the logo, like the tips of the flames and that sort of thing, are delicate. So you got to be really careful when you're installing that. Install it from the bottom up, But we'll probably even have to make a video on how to install those things. But we did it. We got the decals for you. We got some new shirt designs coming soon, right angle adapters, and who knows what else. So, all right, let's get back to business. This photograph was taken by a monkey. Yes, indeed. That monkey stole a photographer's camera while he was in the jungles and took a photograph. So Wikipedia decided they could use that photo and they wouldn't have to pay any royalties. Like, hey, look, a monkey took this photo. It does not belong to anybody. And, of course, the photographer got angry and, took him to court. And the courts have ruled that since a monkey took this photograph, that it is unprotected intellectual property. Interesting. So here's the argument, really, that I think they're kind of missing. The photographer created the environment for such an event to occur. And I don't know. Should he? What do you think, Wendell? Should he own this, or this is a really?
It's sort of a tough call because the monkey did press the button, and so I guess technically under the law, that's how that works. It wasn't the camera operator that pressed the button, or they didn't set it up so that the monkey looked like they pressed the button, and there was no guarantee that the monkey was going to press the button. Although if you got a million monkeys in there, eventually one of them is going to press the button. It makes sense with the way that U.S. copyright law is written, but it may not make sense unless you dive into it. I'm not a law expert, but I could understand this ruling.
I mean, the thing for me, and I'm actually putting this on Twitter right now while we're talking, the thing for me is like, let's think of this in a different way. There's a lot of artists who get together and they try to create scenarios in which things like this happen. So imagine an artist got a room full of monkeys together and put a bunch of cameras in there, and just to see what would happen. And then he was creating a final piece of artwork that was going to be all the pictures that the monkeys accidentally took, and then he put that up in the gallery. Would he own that work because it was his, it was his environment that he created, and his creative project that he put together? So would he own the final product because he enabled all this? The monkeys took the pictures, then he put it into a gallery. Would someone be able to be like, oh, we could just take this stuff off the wall and take pictures of it and use it in our publications for free? That's kind of my angle on this. He created this environment, and he's the photographer. It's his camera. He enabled it. The monkey's not really a photographer. I don't know. I think I would have just been like, yeah, look how close I got to this monkey. I mean, you don't see the monkey's hands. It's a selfie, but you don't see the monkey going like, you don't see his hands, or you don't see him all like, he's not even doing duck face. Come on.
Is this
It's
like
not even a selfie. Come on, there's no duck face.
Is this like how AIDS came about? Only it's with selfies and monkeys instead of.
I think selfies give you AIDS. God, we've just got some hate mail. I'm sorry. I support AIDS. I'm going to donate or something to make you guys whatever doesn't offend you. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. There, fixed it. I'm putting this thing on Twitter right now so people know. All right, and there it is. Oh man, can someone put this on the forum? That'll take a minute to do that, to log into the forum.
Live tweeting. Yeah, somebody should post to the website and say, hey, this is a thing. In general, not all over the place. Don't spam it and be nice.
Yeah. All right. Next up on the list, Facebook. So recently, Facebook did this thing where they forced you, if you have the app, to stop using the Messenger in the Facebook app. Now you have to download a new Facebook Messenger that's a separate app. And the reason they're doing this is they want to take over your SMS messages. It's so freaking evil. And, I don't use Facebook. Is not allowed on my phone. It's absolutely not allowed on my phone. Has not been allowed on my phone since day one when I had my phone the first time. I got Twitter on there, but no Facebook. So as we're traveling across the country, Jimmy has his iPhone in the back seat. And I can just feel people typing right now the hate. Just go easy on him, all right? All right, so he's got his iPhone. And he's got his Facebook app. I can hear people typing the hate right now. Just go easy on him. And he just kept complaining over and over again that the messaging thing didn't work. And then he downloaded the new Messenger app. And every single time he opened the app, or every time he even minimized it and then maximized it, every single time it popped back up on the screen, it would ask him to, take over his SMS. Like, click here so that we can take over. It almost looked like a warning. It was like, click here so that we, Facebook is not in control of SMS. Please click here to enable it. And he had to click cancel every single time, and he was going crazy. Well, so that's pretty bad. Here's what's worse. Did you guys look at the terms of service? And I have not used it, so I don't even know if someone's joking. This looks so outlandish that it looks like someone is joking. All right, right here it says that the microphone is allowed to record audio. They say here's allows the app to record audio with the microphone. This permission allows the app to record audio at any time without your confirmation. So that's the microphone. The camera. So this permission allows the app to use the camera at any time without your confirmation. Right.
I feel like Richard M. Stallman warned us about this day, and we all made fun of him for being a lunatic crackpot neckbeard.
Well, he may be all of those things, but sometimes he's right. I don't think I'm going to get hate for that. I'm just stirring up the hate pot today. Richard Stallman, I'm cool with him, but I'm more of a Linus Torvalds type of guy.
Yeah, RMS is a cool guy. I mean, he's a cool old school neckbeard system administrator. Neckbeard in the most positive, endearing way. I mean, he's really awesome. I met him once in person. He's very, 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 very intelligent.
Let's lay out the neckbeard here. Neckbeards in general are frustrating because they feel like everything is beneath them, and a lot of times they will Google to find new information to make themselves seem smarter so that they can pretend that everything is beneath them. But the neckbeards that we are talking about, everything truly is beneath them.
Yes.
That is the difference.
I mean, Richard M. Stallman was like, we're going to be in this corporatocracy or whatever with all this stuff. I'm going to write a whole bunch of things so that we don't have to do that. And doing that 20 years ago is what paved the way for Linux, because without a lot of his work, Linux is just a kernel. So you say GNU Linux, and I really don't want to open up that pedantic can of worms, but...
You knew this was going to happen.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, double facepalm from behind the monitors.
Yes. Now I've forgotten what else is going on. This is also crazy. The Facebook app is allowed to call numbers directly from your phone, and it even says that you may incur charges. So you're basically agreeing for Mark Zuckerberg to come over to your house and sleep with you without protection.
Thanks, Facebook.
Yeah, it's exactly what it says right here. And this one that's hard to read right here. This one in the middle of the screen. It's kind of all blurry and everything. So there's some people. There's a class action lawsuit going on right now. I don't think I sent you this article, but I just found it. 60,000 users in Australia are suing Facebook for privacy violations, and the lawsuit has passed its first legal review. So it looks like this lawsuit may be going forward. So that's pretty cool. So Australia, good on you. All you 60,000 people. Max Schrems, I think his name is, Schrems. Max Schrems is the one behind this lawsuit. So, dude, go for it. They are definitely violating privacy. And if you can prove this, then you could win some money. He's seeking 500 euros, which is $663 per person.
That's some pretty significant damages for Facebook.
Yeah.
I hope they get somewhere with this because they probably can. I mean, as far as violations of laws and laws, this is totally a thing that they've done. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
All right. Next up, let's have a little bit of a conversation right now because the tech industry is looking to Obama. Actually, not the tech industry, but a lot of tech employees, right? Tech workers, right?
Tech giants like Microsoft, Cisco, and some others.
Now, they're looking to Microsoft. Well, I guess you could probably lay this out better than I could with what's going on with the immigration and the layoffs.
So the tech companies like Microsoft and HP, and let me look at this, IBM and Hewlett Packard, are saying that there are not enough skilled U.S. workers. So they want to open up the H-1B visa program a lot more, and they're looking to Obama to do that. And I thought the language here was really interesting because it's like they're just short of awesome. The American workers are just short of awesome, and we really want to have the top talent. But they're framing the issue as if, well, we already have top talent, but that top talent wants to work with other top talent, which doesn't know geopolitical borders, and then therefore we need H-1B visa workers. But there's some other articles that actually break that argument down and look at, very skilled American workers, but they're also demanding sort of top tier wages. And unless those workers are working in really high margin industries, hint Google, like things like search engines and stuff like that, then those employers don't want to employ them. I mean, Microsoft just shed a whole bunch of employees. A lot of them were from Nokia. A lot of them were from out of the country, and they were already sort of set up with offices in other countries. And so some lawmakers have looked at that and said, well, Microsoft, you're saying you need more workers, but you already had an office with all these employees overseas that, was Nokia. What's going on here? Why do you want to bring them into the U.S.? Why do you want the H-1B visa? And you guys know Barnacle. I mean, he was laid off from Microsoft, and with all of his esoteric hobbies, he certainly seems capable of leveling up and learning and adding skills. So is this really a situation where they need skilled workers, or is it a situation where they're not willing to invest their profits in their workers in order to level up their skills?
Microsoft should like him. He plays console games. Shots fired, Jerry.
We're just kidding. Just kidding.
I'm serious.
Oh, dear.
I wish people could hear my inflections on Twitter because we got in this heated. I was having a lot of fun. I was like, oh, shit, these people are like thinking I'm angry.
No one can hear anything on Twitch because it's been muted.
Oh, Twitter.
Oh,
whatever,
Twitter.
Whatever that thing is, it starts with a T. So anyway, it's a bit weird, this whole nonsense that's happening with all these tech companies. But, I mean, could they get the same amount of performance with an H1V? I almost said H1N1.
No. H1.
Could they get the same amount of talent? I mean, do you think? If they could, then I mean, it would be in their best business interest to fire all the Americans or fire all the
saying that there are a lot of manufacturing jobs that are coming. This is kind of related, so give me a second because it's not immediately related. I got to sort of lead you there. There was an article, I think, in Forbes that talks about the manufacturing costs in places like China and Indonesia have those salaries there have quintupled since 2000, 2004, somewhere through there, just because there's so many companies that have outsourced. And so while there is really good talent overseas, I mean, just in terms of sheer population, in terms of people in China that have an IQ over 130, there are more people in China that have an IQ over 130 than there are people in America, period. Which is, it's just a numbers game is all that is. Now, are they all trained? No, but time will solve that problem. So, yes, I mean, absolutely they can get talented H-1B visa workers. But on the whole, the salary statistics is that those positions here do not have salary parity with American workers. And I think that's really what this is about. They want hard-working H-1B visa workers, while American workers have become accustomed to things like vacations. And culturally and, historically, some of the countries that these H-1B visa workers are coming from don't have things like vacations or 40 hours in a work week before you get overtime. And as pure as their motives may be, you can't help but sort of question those sort of factors, because for the bottom line, those things make a huge difference. And I'm not really sure that anyone is looking into those things as diligently as they ought to be.
Well, because they're allowing it to continue, but I don't really think that anything's going to happen as far as, I don't know. I think it's just going to continue. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing, because I've got this funny thing on the screen and I'm distracted by it. This is a monument painted by Bulgarians. This is actually in Bulgaria. It's not in Russia or anything like that. But this is, hold on a second, my thing started playing over here. The Bulgarians have been painting Russian monuments because they are angry with the Russians. And I'm not even a fan of comic books, but this is just too funny. They're painting up, I mean, it's kind of sad because these are, these are like really nice old Russian monuments, but I don't know, it's worth a laugh. I'm sure they can maybe get that paint off of there, right? Those are like bronze statues, it looks like.
Yeah, the paint is not going to hurt the statues. This
No.
is totally fine. And whoever has been doing this, hats off to you, because all the yucks are worth it.
I think it's made them better. But why does Superman have a pistol? He's like the Man of Steel right there, and he's just holding a pistol in his hand, just like, Superman, I'm Superman, what?
Well, I think the people that painted it probably drew the line at getting out the battery-operated Dremel to Dremel the metal gun out of his hand, probably.
They had a guy over there waiting, like Vlad the Dremeler was waiting right back there. He's like, yeah? No, I don't know. That's not a Bulgarian accent, is it?
No.
I don't know what that was.
And we've gone off the rails already.
Hey! I've offended everybody. Before this is over, I hope you're offended. And if you're not, you can kiss my black ass. Oh, God, I'm just going on a rampage today. Let's talk about Google's driverless reckless car that's designed to exceed the speed limits. This law-breaking vehicle is going to be set loose on the roads, everybody. That's what they would say if this was the view. But, wisely, Google has decided to allow their driverless cars to exceed the speed limit by up to 10 miles per hour. And the reason they're doing this is because they said if they drove the speed limit, it was really dangerous because people were going to slam into them.
That's true. Keeping up with the flow of traffic is always more important than anything. And they base this not on really anything arbitrary, but on actual research studies that say, well, the speed limit in an area is, 45 or 55 or 65. But if the traffic is moving, 5, 10, 15 miles an hour over that, it would be more dangerous to move against the flow of traffic than it would be to exceed the speed limit. And so that's exactly how it's programmed. And that's how human drivers do too. I mean, when you're in a flow of traffic, you're watching the car in front of you. You're not really paying attention to your speed because your speed doesn't matter. Not hitting the car in front of you is what matters.
Well, that's a key thing. If I'm going to get into one of those, I'm going to want to make sure that it does things like that. That it's kind of makes it a chaotic good, doesn't it? It makes Google chaotic good because they're not following the law, right? Maybe chaotic good. All right. If we have any developers out there, especially web designers, who are into Sublime Text or who have used Sublime Text, maybe you haven't even heard of Sublime Text. Well, Sublime Text is a paid program that makes web designing very, very easy. We used it a bit when we were designing the website. We were using Notepad Plus a lot, and then halfway through it, when I was like, "Why are you doing that here?" And he gave me, Sublime Text, so that actually made things quite a bit easier. But there's now a new open source version, and I want to correct the guys on the website here. This does not appear to be a true successor because it does not seem to be made by the same people. Correct me if I'm wrong out there in the comments.
Yeah, we saw on the website, it's like, this is the successor to Sublime Text. And it's like, oh my God, are they doing the free thing? Because you could, Sublime Text is like $100 or $70 or whatever. And it's worth it. It's well worth it. And, I think this is just some other random group of people. I don't know. Can't really tell. Somebody that knows for sure could maybe let us know. The other editor that we really like that is worth a mention is Phpstorm. Well, any of the JetBrains editors, but
those are a bit
Phpstorm
more
is
expensive.
good.
I mean,
yeah.
the point with Sublime Text is that it's now a free version of Sublime Text, and it'll get the job done. But Phpstorm does a lot more.
Yes. And it's the same thing as like in Android Studio. So the JetBrains guys are just the most amazing group of people making IDEs that there is, and there are, and there are Python IDEs and C++ and ReSharper, and I think they're working on a C++ IDE, so it's going to be interesting.
You ready to get down to business with some ISP nonsense?
There's always ISP nonsense every week. It's crazy.
It is time for our ISP WTF segment. I like it because it's two acronyms with 3 letters each, right? Actually, is it an acronym or what's the other thing? There's an acronym and there's something else. Acronyms are said like a word, like wah-wah, and then the other thing is spelled out, or you say each individual letter. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, there's a word for that.
Everyone says acronym for everything, but it's actually not an acronym. Like HSBC, never mind. There's HSBC, but if you said Hubbaxus, then it would be a different thing.
An initialism, maybe?
An acronism, maybe. An acronox?
No, it's not an anachronism. Honestly. Too much, getting too much ready.
All right, back to the business's hand. So, Sprint has done something kind of ballsy here. They've got this new bloatware. Well, at least BGR is calling it bloatware. It probably is bloatware, but they've got kind of their own version of the Android store, and they're just calling it, I guess, the Sprint thing, the Sprint store or whatever. And what they're doing here is they're giving you an app pass, the Sprint app pass, and they're going to charge you $5 a month for it. And for $5 a month, you get access to a lot of premium apps. There's going to be some apps in there that you're going to have to pay extra for on top of that. But here's the thing, and this is another way that they're discriminating and going against the ideals of net neutrality. If you get something through their app store as opposed to the Google App Store, and you're paying the $5 a month, well, then you can just use that app as much as you want, and it's not going to count against your bandwidth or whatever. How about that?
Does anybody remember this? I remember this from the 90s with CompuServe and AOL. It's like, why would you need the internet? CompuServe has these things. I didn't call them apps, but they had these boards or these, forums or message whatever, and they had all this stuff, and you could do cooking recipes and, call your mom and send, picture mail to your grandma. And you didn't need the internet. The internet is too hard to use the internet. You should use AOL and CompuServe. Balkanization of the internet. This is one of the things that will lead to the balkanization of the internet. And that's a term that you should Google if you haven't heard of that. So you can read more about that, because that was predicted a long time ago, but it's finally actually starting to happen.
Well, I mean, I can't believe that we're still in a day and age when everyone thinks that walled gardens are the thing that you need. Back in the day before, cell phones and stuff, walled gardens were pretty much all you had. You had brick and mortar stores, and all the things were inside those brick and mortar stores. And you have to go to that brick and mortar store, and once you get inside there, they try to keep you in there with enticing offers and posters on the wall and end caps with special promotional products. So it's after they get you inside, they keep you in there and keep enticing you. And now that we're in a digital age, you're not inside a Sprint store, but they want to keep you walled in. You know what I mean? And they're designing this. It's basically a walled garden, and they want you to pay for it. On top of all that, they're like, here's our bloatware, and we'd like for you to pay for this, please. That's incredibly ballsy. $5 to get in, I guess they're thinking that their offer of giving you some free paid apps, some curated stuff, access to over 200 premium apps. There's over 100,000 on the the Google or the Android store or whatever, the Google Play or whatever. I mean, how many are there on the iOS store? So,
way too many. There's at least 10,000 flashlight applications. So we take that into account. I mean, I think part of the reasoning here is that it's too hard to find good apps on the respective app stores, but that's really probably down to bad app store design. And I would suggest that Sprint, a telecommunications company, probably should not get in the business of software development and app deployment and app infrastructure and that sort of thing. It worked okay for Apple because Apple was a computer company, but I just don't think Sprint has the technical chops to pull this off.
All right, back over to Comcast. So there's another call here. This one's an hour and 22 minutes. I don't know why anyone would want to listen to this. It's probably similar to many experiences that people have had with Comcast. But it's just, I guess where I'm going to go with this is if you guys are calling Comcast, record it. Hook up a webcam and just put the webcam on yourself and talk on speakerphone if you don't have a mechanism to record things on your phone or whatever. But it's really important that we all start documenting Comcast's abuse of their position. And their position is one of they don't have any competition, they don't care, and they really see their customers as a resource that they can use any way they please. So, I mean, this is just another, you guys can get into the details. I don't think the details are that important. It's just another time when, Comcast told somebody that they were going to get an increase in their speed for free, and then he didn't get an increase, but he was charged for it. Then he called and he was on the phone for like an hour and a half, transferred 6 times, and never got anything resolved. So it's just one of those things that happens every time you call Comcast, really.
The question for us is not, is this company, is this like just a normal MO, and because of the internet and modern technology, it's getting more of a report, or anything like that? This is more of a, has this company become so dysfunctional that it needs to be put out of its misery? We said last time, if the American Medical Association were looking at this and Comcast were a person, they would say, oh, that Hippocratic oath that you take, thou shalt do no harm. Well, in this case, the patient is suffering so badly, we will let you euthanize them. They could totally, you could totally put them to sleep with morphine, and that would just be better for everybody involved. Is it because Comcast has gotten so large, or has it always been this way? Has this always been their MO since they passed a certain point? But, theoretically in the past, they would have had to have at least okay customer service. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to grow to the gargantuan size that they are. But like a person that has perhaps grown this large, it turns out that it's a tumor and it's bad, and we should probably do something about that and not let them devour an entirely other person who appears to have the same medical condition.
It's like these 2 lepers over here eating each other. Oh, just let them; they'll get bigger and stronger. Yeah, that's pretty much what's happening right now. The government used to break up companies for less than this. I mean, look at Bell, look at AT&T. These companies were broken up, and they were nowhere near as bad off as Time Warner or Comcast. So, yeah. Speaking of Time Warner, Netflix decided that they need to be paying Time Warner as well for peering. So now they're peering with Comcast, Verizon, and AT&T. Well, they're paying for peering with Comcast, Verizon, and AT&T. They're paying for the connections that should be paid for by Comcast, Verizon, and AT&T, and now Time Warner. So, Netflix, why are you doing this? Like, you guys said that you didn't want to do this. Are they doing this just because they realize that this is the only way that they're going to be able to maintain, their quality of service? I mean, it seems like they do care about their customers. And, I mean, a lot of the customers are going to use the internet, and they're going to be like, oh, the internet works pretty good, and it works great whenever I'm on this, this Comcast or this Sprint service. Hey, look how fast this is. When I go to Netflix, man, Netflix just sucks. And people who do not watch this show and people who are not educated about matters are going to go to their friends and be like, yeah, don't use Netflix. Just use that Comcast thing, whatever it is, Comcast. I don't know what the Comcast thing is called. Do you know what it's called? The video streaming service?
Redbox Online,
Redbox
streaming. I don't know.
Or just go to Family Video. Because the Netflix sucks. That's what's going to happen right now. And so I guess Netflix is being pragmatic, but this is also a slippery slope, and they're also giving, the powers that be, Comcast, Verizon, and AT&T, a taste of what the internet could be like if all websites were treated as Netflix and forced to pay for a connection to their subscribers. So I really do wish that Netflix would stand up and not do these sort of things, but at the same time, they've got to continue to maintain quality of service so that they're more ignorant customers. And they've got millions of customers, and I imagine a lot of them have no idea how things work. A series of tubes makes movies come into their TV. And that's just sad.
I would also like to point out that, if we go back to our package delivery analogy, if Netflix were Amazon and Comcast and Verizon were UPS, Comcast and Verizon would be investigated for racketeering for interfering with the delivery of those packages. It's no more complicated than that. When you think about it in terms of, I'm going to send a piece of mail through a private delivery service, and there's torturous interference with the packets actually making it there, that's a violation of federal law. It's really not any more complicated than that.
Is your camera not moving?
Uh-oh. Did it die? Might have died.
I don't know. Let me go move around. It's just you sitting there. It's all funky looking.
Jiggle the camera cord.
1 second.
Oh, yeah.
One second.
And
you're not moving?
I can do like a hand puppet show while we're waiting. It's like...
No battery power remains. I'm swapping the battery real fast.
Okay, so the battery died.
Yep, so just maybe sing. Until I fix this.
Singing, oh dear.
All right, Wendell's going to sing, everybody. There's nowhere to charge batteries anymore. We're out of outlets. How did we run out of outlets? It's funny that it froze frame. Alright. There, you should be back now.
I'm back. Am I back?
Let's see
I
here.
don't even know.
Hey, Wendell's back. Move around. Yay! New battery. This one's not very charged, so we're going to go through the rest of these videos. The rest of these articles. So one of the things that we can do to combat this nonsense is we need the municipalities to start laying some fiber, and we need them to start partnering with small local companies. And that's exactly what's happening here. We've got another example of this happening in Siren, Wisconsin, and several other towns in Wisconsin now have gigabit. Towns like Madeline Island, Bloomer, Wisconsin Rapids, Reedburg, and there's also going to be, I believe, Middleton, Wenatchee, Verona, Black Earth. Did I say that right? Cross Plains, several different towns in Wisconsin. The problem here is that they've received a large grant from the the government, but if you want gigabit, it's going to cost $600 a month. So that's not the trend that we're seeing in a lot of other parts of the country. I mean, a lot of them are keeping it $70, $100. Hell, Vermont, some of the places up there, I believe it's $39 a month for gigabit up and down. 10 extra bucks for a private box in Maine. I think it's around $100 a month. So work on the cost, Wisconsin, figure that out. But that's what we need. We need more of this. We need more communities laying fiber, because that's going to be the thing that really can sort of change this and move it in a different direction, because they don't have any competition right now. And you know what's really funny with Comcast is they've been arguing way back when they used to argue that Time Warner was fierce competition, right? And now that they want to merge with them, they've been arguing that Time Warner is not competition. So whatever narrative fits what they want. So Comcast now is saying, Time Warner, they're not competition at all. So if we merged, it wouldn't be a big deal. That's the problem. They don't have any competition.
I really, even $600 from a business perspective for gigabit for America and innovation is really not completely terrible. It's, when you want that kind of a connection from Comcast or Time Warner, it's thousands, if not thousands upon thousands of dollars per month in just about everywhere they service. And they're keenly interested in keeping it that way, even though it hurts their economy.
Yeah. Now, there's some lawmakers, and they're asking the FCC to preempt states' municipal broadband ban. So what's been happening? Broadband ban. All right. So what's been happening in places like Tennessee and that sort of thing, the idiot Congress people or whatever in the state, or the idiot lawmakers in the state, have been taking money from Comcast and Time Warner and CenturyLink and whoever else, and they have been trying to put a stop or make municipal broadband illegal. That's kind of shocking. I mean, it's what everyone wants. And what's really, really messed up about this is everywhere that we see municipal broadband, I'll use Chattanooga as the example, all the old warehouses become bars and shops and IT startups, and the local economy starts to boom, and everything starts to move in the right direction. And then they come in and say, no, we can't have this. It has to be all Comcast. How the hell I don't even know how the hell that's even legal. How are we allowing Comcast and all these other companies to use the lawmakers as a business tool?
It's a little more complicated than that. It's not that they want to make municipal broadband completely illegal.
They say it's competing, and they're not allowed to do that, right?
Yes, that's really what they're trying to make the argument about. And some Republicans have said to the FCC, "Hey, we don't want you to do anything that a future Republican-controlled government would disagree with. So please do not make any rulings or changes or anything that would go against that." And the argument that the Republicans are using are that it's the states' rights to determine what they do and how that works. And the reason for that is complicated, but a lot of states have franchising agreements with cable. That's why just about everywhere doesn't have two cable providers, which is why Comcast and Time Warner don't compete. And historically, the reason that that's done is because it doesn't make economic sense to run two sets of cable infrastructure in a city. So let's say that you're in town X, and a cable company comes to town, and there's a competing cable company that comes to town. Well, they don't want to share infrastructure So they would each have to run their own coaxial lines for television and internet everywhere, but it's not cost effective to do that. The business model only makes sense when you've got 60-70% of households subscribing, and if you've got two providers, you'll never have 60 or 70% of subscribers subscribing, because that would be over 100% of the population. Nobody's going to have two cable providers. That doesn't make any sense. So the type of municipal infrastructure that works for these companies are when they can sort of use and take full control of the municipal infrastructure. So as a city, it's like, oh yeah, you guys can totally run your own infrastructure, and then we'll just use that infrastructure. And if you don't let us use the infrastructure, we will not sell you upstream bandwidth. And so unless you're close to somewhere that can give you like level 3 or another really big provider, you're not going to be able to get internet access. And see, Time Warner and Time Warner has acquired companies that do backhaul connectivity for their nationwide network. And so it actually is really difficult to get some of these backhaul connections in other places. In the New England, the northeastern part of the United States, connectivity from Canada is what's driving it. So there are ISPs in Canada that want better connectivity to America and the States. And so the patchwork of independent providers there mean that they can actually get their internet from Canada and transit that traffic from the Canadian providers to New York City and back and forth, and that helps subsidize some of the costs of this. And so that's why that has worked really well in New England, but did not work in Provo. And Google had to come in and be like, oh yeah, we'll buy that for $1.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the smartest thing you can do. So if you are someone who has some influence in your local town, just tell them what Wendell just said, or lay your own fiber and then try to hook up some of the local companies and allow them to use it. Dark fiber, they can pretty much lay their own fiber. It's infrastructure. You put that in the ground and just let local people use it, or let a local company take it over and provide the service.
We think it would be good for everybody to have shared fiber, and there's no reason that you couldn't run 75 different providers over one strand of fiber optic. Everybody needs fiber optic to every structure that's there. How we get there without being raked over the coals by some hideously evil, dysfunctional corporation, that remains to be seen.
All right. So they want us to shut up about internet prices. You shut up. You shut up. Don't tell me what to do. Shut up.
How else are we going to push out Half-Life 3 to you unless you've got gigabit? I mean, that's the real
you just
problem
gave away.
here.
Hey, hold on a second. Wait a second. Oh, you said that at the exact time that someone said that you were Gabe Newell in disguise. At the exact time. All right. Derp. Let's just talk about Derp.
Derp.
Reddit, Twitch. I've got the Derp. Reddit, Twitch, and Imager, they've created a partnership called Derp. I'm very good at reading headlines, as you guys can see. I have no idea what this is all about. No, really. What they've done here is they've created a partnership, and it's for online research, I guess, trends and that sort of thing. They're not doing like medical research. They're not going to like crack and find the cure to cancer or ALS or anything like that. They may pour a bucket of ice on their head, though, because that's what's happening on the internet right now. That's what's happening on the internet right now, in case you didn't know. Bucket of ice.
How weird is it that a backwater YouTube channel is pointing out the idiot? I mean, look, we're the biggest idiots that there are on YouTube, probably, and it's like we have to point this out.
Wait a minute. We're the big. I have not put fireworks in my butt once.
We have to point out the absurdity of these things on YouTube. I mean, hello, pot, kettle, pot, kettle.
Is that black as well? How could this be? All right. So, yeah, that's just interesting. I think it's interesting because it's called Derp, and that's why it's news. Anyway, Steve Ballmer has stepped down from the board at Microsoft. So he stepped down as CEO, and Satya Nadella took over, and now he's stepping down from the board because he's got stuff to do, like manage all that money he has. He also owns just about more stock, I think maybe more stock than anybody at Microsoft, so he'll be okay. He's still going to, maintain his stock. He's not going to sell off his Microsoft stock, but, he's going to focus on other things, like owning the Clippers or whatever. The Clippers any good? Anybody out there like the Clippers?
Didn't the guy that owns the Clippers now only pay like 150 or 200 million? I don't know anything about sports, so somebody's probably mocking me right now. Yeah. But I think the guy that bought them only paid like 100 or 200 million dollars for them, and he's selling them for $2 billion. That guy needs to shut up and take the money and just laugh all the way to the bank.
I like their mascot. It's that giant, shears, like the thingy, the barber clippers. You get it? Their mascot.
Oh no.
That's what it should be. I think it's a boat or something, right? I have a guy dressed up as a boat running around slamming into things.
Sometimes my
They should
brain
get rid of
filters out. Sometimes my brain filters out those puns just so I won't have an aneurysm.
But really, I mean, if you think about it, everyone in basketball has to have, well, I mean, you usually have to have short hair. When I played basketball, I had like a flat top, man. Like, you could land a plane up there in my head. I don't know anymore. It's getting way too hot in here. Let's go on. So, I don't know. Do you think this is going to mean anything for Microsoft? It seems like he's like, all right, you guys are doing just fine. I'm going to step down. And do you think he was forced off?
If you follow, yeah, no, he was totally forced out. He should have been forced out a long time ago. People did not realize. I mean, I believe that the reason that Bill Gates left when he did, way back around 2000 or 2003, is because he's friends with Ballmer. And the only thing, and Ballmer wasn't doing a good job, in my opinion, in the position that he's in. And you can't fire Ballmer because he really does own more stock in Microsoft than anybody. So Bill Gates was like, why don't you, move up the chain and let me handle what you were handling. And then Bill Gates brilliantly saved the bacon there. And Ballmer's a smart guy. He really is. But he's sort of a little old world for Microsoft and the stuff that they need. Now the new guys saying that all these little kingdoms within Microsoft are being run like a startup and blah, blah, blah. If you really want to get a good read of the situation, Ballmer sort of wrote an open letter to the new to Nadella, and it's like, this is the things that you have to look forward to, blah, blah, blah. On the surface, it's a very cheerful letter, but sort of underneath, I thought it was a little bit condescending because it was like, I'm really busy. I have to go manage my finances. I have to, I got a sports team to take care of. Blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna get the hell out of here and let you young whippersnappers do whatever. Sort of how I read that. I thought it was a really interesting letter, and if it was actually written by him, it's sort of an interesting insight into sort of the character of his personality, because the only exposure that I have to his personality are the developers videos on YouTube, and if you haven't seen those, you should just stop right now and go look at those.
Just type developers. That's going to peak everyone's microphone. God, I almost got excited there. I love that video. It's almost as good as Winnebago Man. We need to combine the two and make a song. Somebody auto-tune that. I'll give you $1.
My favorite version of that is the iTunes commercial with Ballmer dancing around. It's like the old school, like the silhouette.
Screaming and everything.
Yeah, it's just really amazing.
Oh, well, you know something? Someone's probably going to have that removed from the internet. This is absurd. A few years ago, Google was only asked to remove a few dozen links from the internet per year. Like a few dozen links per year. Takedown notices. Now, they're being asked to remove over 1 million per day. Last week, 7.8 million requests for Google to remove links. And a lot of this is totally abuse. I mean, literally, I'd say literally 3/17 of it is valid. So figure out how much of it is invalid. I mean, we've got stuff like this whole, I don't know, what's that junk? Everyone keeps asking me to talk about some stupid, trivial high school nonsense that's going on in the gaming world with some girl with purple hair named Zoe or something. I don't care. Like, I don't care if she blows goats, whatever, like to get a job. I'm not talking about it. That's all she gets. But apparently she's been abusing the DMCA takedown notices to get articles and things like that removed from the internet. And that's exactly how it's being abused. That's the only reason I'm going to mention that, is because she's apparently, and her associates and whatever, have been abusing this system to remove things from the internet. So, but yeah, that's all that high school drama that I'm going to get into. This is a pretty troubling trend because it keeps going up and up and up. I don't know how Google's going to be able to keep up with this. Of course, they've got some, they've got a lot of robotic things going on behind the scenes. And now we see that Google is forced to do some stupid things. And I think Google a lot of the times is doing this stuff, even though they really shouldn't be. Like the way that they handle YouTube videos and that sort of thing, the way they handle DMCA, it's you are guilty until proven innocent, and that's now happening now that they've picked up Twitch. That crap is happening on Twitch. Their live streams are getting muted, even when it's in-game audio. It's ridiculous. I mean, let's just step back to the essence of Twitch. You are streaming a game, which is supposed to be copyrighted content, but a lot of the game developers understand that when someone sees you stream, they are likely to be like, hey, this game's interesting, maybe I should go pick it up. And I mean, as far as all the music and the background music and that sort of thing goes, I mean, a lot of people I know, they buy almost all of their music because they heard it on YouTube or they heard it on a Twitch stream. And now all that stuff's being censored by Google, even though it shouldn't be censored, just because Google doesn't want the trouble. So they have these robotic mechanisms in place to just remove all that stuff so they don't have to deal with it, because they don't have the man hours. That's the bottom line for them, is they are a company that's looking for profit, and they've put these things in place even though they go against pretty much copyright law. But they're doing it because they're trying to save on their bottom line, and they're trying to remove overhead.
This is a really interesting from a court case standpoint, because is this a performance? What is this? Is this a protectable thing that would go under copyright law? But interestingly, we in the U.S. we do actually have some precedents in this area from Robot Chicken, of all things. So Robot Chicken, if you don't know, is a TV show on Cartoon Network on Adult Swim, and you should pause the stream and go look that up if you haven't seen that, because it's hours and hours of entertainment. But basically, a bunch of guys got together and said, wouldn't it be fun if we filmed our own sort of really perverse versions of us playing with toys? And so like old He-Man toys and old Smurf toys and every old toy you can think of is basically stop motion animated. And Hasbro and a lot of other companies, I think it was Hasbro, don't quote me on that, but toy companies have lost their minds on this because it's really funny. And they're like, what are you doing? You're ruining the images of our of our toys. Stop it. And so they've been sued, and they lost because the judge was like, no, look, you sold them toys. Toys are meant to be played with. They filmed themselves playing with toys. This is not really anything different than what children do, except it's televised. This is not a protectable thing. You can't protect the image of He-Man in this way because they bought and are playing with a He-Man toy. And that's one of the reasons why they go to such great lengths to buy the original toys in some cases, even though they end up destroying them, is so that they get that protection. And in a lot of ways, the video game stuff is very similar. So Google, with its army of lawyers, I'm very surprised that they would be this conservative on this, because this is not really, I know that Nintendo has done some really crazy stuff around this, but I'm really surprised that no one is sort of looking at those cases and using that as a basis to say, well, this is just people playing the game, and a lot of the time, even the in-game audio and music and things, people are talking over, so it's not really true that somebody could, capture the copyrighted item as a whole or in part the game in this medium. So it's really interesting, and once again, we see people not thinking about things the way that they need to be thought about, and they just sort of do blindly and zero tolerance, and it doesn't make any sense.
That's pretty much all I think we're going to do today. You need to go to lunch. I got to do another video. I got to do a video on this crossover monitor back here. In case you guys are wondering, this is a new 21:9 monitor from our friend Dreamseller, who we get all of our 1440p monitors from Korea. We all get them from him. Well, they now have the LG panels that go in those LG monitors. They've created a crossover, and this thing has a full metal frame, or a full metal chassis. It's really nice back here. So I'm probably going to get another one of those. It's 2560 by 1080. So it's not the 1440 model, but it's almost like the ideal resolution for a lot of games out there. I'm betting that Pistol's probably going to want one of these for Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen, and a few other things. After she sees it, I bet she's going to want one. I think I like the ratio even better than the 1440p. I just really like ultra wide, but I kind of want to wait for the 3440. Is that what it is? 3540 by
It's like 3840 by 1440.
Yeah.
I really 2560 by 1080. I've played with it. 2560 by 1080 versus 2560 by 1440. Why would you go for the 1080 even though it's extra wide?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just do black bars on a 1440 if that's really what you want?
Well, I guess the idea here is this is 30 inches, diagonally across. So if you get a 1440 and it's only, 30 inches or so, you've got more pixels in there, but it's going to be harder to drive. So you'll be able to fill up this entire screen, sit back. If you're sitting back far enough, it'll probably look really good, and it'll be easier to drive with your current hardware, and you won't have to upgrade and get a new graphics card and all that sort of thing, because 2560 by 1080 is going to require some horsepower. So that's the argument in that favor. If you've got a 760 or 750 Ti or an AMD 270 or a 280, you might be better off going with that size as opposed to the other size, the larger size. But anyway, we'll do a video on that pretty soon. Last thing I wanted to say here, guys, is we have an Asus X99 Deluxe motherboard to give away. You guys can do that on the website. If you guys just go to the website and click on the feed right here on the top, It'll take you over to the feed, and it's probably going to be the top thing on the feed you'll see when an Asus X99 Deluxe motherboard. And, JJ had a few questions that he wanted you guys to answer to qualify for this. So what is your least favorite thing about modern motherboards? And this can be like a trend or hardware, software, something you just, something about modern motherboards that just you don't care about. And then, what feature would you really like to see on future motherboards? And the third question is, how much did you spend on your last motherboard? And the reason that we ask in that last question is because a lot of times people are like, I would like my motherboard to have a cheese factory and a helicopter on top, but I only spent $50 on my last motherboard. It's like, you can't have a helicopter if you're only willing to spend $50 on a motherboard. Sorry, guys. So, it's that adds reason to all this stuff. But go ahead and answer that, and you'll be entered in for a chance to win an Asus X99 Deluxe. Thanks, freaking loaded. You guys are going to be happy when you see it. The last thing I want to mention, since you were talking about Robot Chicken, I'll go ahead and bring this up. And I've got a music playing or something somewhere. I've got to close it real quick. Hold on a second, everybody. I'm going to find out what tab is playing some stupid audio. It's probably an advertisement or something. Where is it? Let's see here. Helicopter. Yeah, it's still doing it. There's some stupid website that just plays ads all day long. I can't find it. It's got to be here somewhere. Just give me one more second and I'll find this. I'll just bring it up on the screen anyway. So, because I want to know what you guys think of this. Someone that I used to work with, they're a Broadway producer. They produced Avenue Q and a few other things, and I know a lot of our audience is scared when they hear the term Broadway, and that's fine. I'm not like a fan of the musicals very much at all. I don't like campy music and all that sort of thing. I do like plays, and I do like a good fun show like Spamalot was a lot of fun. Anyway, Nerds the Musical. The guys from Robot Chicken helped write this musical. And Kane and I saw this in Philly, and it's actually pretty funny. They took a couple liberties, but it's basically the same story as the Pirates of Silicon Valley, where Woz and Jobs are getting together, and then Bill Gates is there doing his thing. And I want to know what you guys think. If this came to Broadway and you guys were in New York, would you go see Nerds the Musical? I also want to note that they kind of make Steve Jobs out to be a pompous ass and kind of an ignorant visionary. If that makes any sense. So I think they played him, and they did not make him look too heroic or anything. I was afraid they were going to do that because artists and that sort of thing, they seem to idolize him. They made Bill Gates out to be a very savvy cutthroat businessman, and Woz was like the one lovable character who seemed to always have it right. So they were pretty true to history as far as all that goes. But I want to know, would you guys be interested in going to see Nerds the Musical? They want to know if they bring it to Broadway. They've already done a few Broadway shows, so they know what they're doing. But would you guys go see it? So I just want to know in the comments what you think. So that's that, and that's the show. And you guys can just type Nerds the Musical into YouTube, see what you think of it. But yeah, a lot of fun. If you like musicals, take a date. I don't know. Good excuse to go to New York. I guess the idea they were having is this is something that someone who normally does not go see a Broadway show may go see. So maybe the nerds will go see it. They talked to me and said, hey, ask your audience. I just did. So now you guys comment. All right, that's pretty much it. It's time to, wow, it's really hot in here. It's time to turn the AC back on. Thanks for watching our live broadcast. Let us know what you thought of the live broadcast. The live broadcast was fun. It's a bit difficult to do because our schedules, we can't always guarantee we're going to be at 5 o'clock or 2 o'clock. But yeah.
And we usually screw up a lot. And so it'll be like, now, wait, did I say that thing? It's like, no, you said something else. And it'll oh, and Cisco was doing this evil thing. And it's like, oh, wait, no, it was Microsoft. Damn it. All right, we'll reshoot it. So there's a little bit of editing that we do because I don't ever remember all the details exactly because, keeping track of actually trying to get the point across, I ramble, and you guys already knew that.
There, Gates has a gun to Jobs. That was a funny scene. Demanding his secrets. Anyway, that was actually one of my favorite scenes of the show. Anyway, that's the end of the show. So I'm going to click stop over here on YouTube, however I do that. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in the next episode, which will be the hardware episode in a couple of days.